Hey, it's Karri Flatla here for Remax Real Estate Lethbridge and KarriFlatla.com. Do you like my new glasses? This is what happens after 40. So somebody put it really well to me. They said things go downhill after 40 and the wheels really come off the cart at 50. So we'll see how that goes because I'm 46. But I can't see anymore. I can't read without glasses. So I just wear them most of the time now. And, you know, maybe they make me look smart, which is important in real estate, I guess. So what's going on for summer real estate market in the city of Lethbridge? And just to be clear, when I look at real estate statistics, I focus on the city. So when you're reading the newspaper, do people still read newspapers? When you're reading the newspaper or the headlines or national reports about different real estate markets across the country or different metropolitan areas, know that quite often when they're talking about Lethbridge, they're reporting board numbers. And our board is a large geographic area. So that's a big chunk of southern Alberta. So that includes a lot of the communities in and around Lethbridge, rural communities, the sales that are happening, and then they blend it all into one big number. And that's not terribly meaningful. It's sort of like comparing national housing numbers to what's actually happening in, say, Toronto versus Vancouver versus Calgary versus Lethbridge. I mean, real estate is so local, so you just have to remember that when you're reading numbers and reports or listening to statistics on the radio. What are they actually reporting on? Is it your market, or is it a number that is amalgamating markets from all around you? Because that's not helpful to you if you're trying to sell a home or if you're thinking about buying a home. So I'm talking about City of Lethbridge because that's where I do most of my business. That's what I specialize in. That's what I know, and that's where my clients are. So summer market update, I pulled the numbers for January to July, and things are looking up. It hasn't been great the last couple of years. So 2017 and 2018, for the first time, my glasses slide down all the time too. Do you find that? These are all the little things I'm getting used to. So 2017 and 2018 was really the first time since the last boom bust back in 07, 08 in real estate. It's the first time in about 10 years that we actually saw real estate numbers in Lethbridge start to go in reverse. We were always on a very slow, steady, incremental uptick. And I mean slow, like snail's pace. So all but flat market. And then 2017, 2018, we actually saw sales numbers start to go backwards year over year. You know, by enough that we were concerned. And there were a lot of reasons for that. Lack of confidence in the economy, a government that was not pro free enterprise in Alberta, hint, hint, business confidence, change to the mortgage rules between 2016 and 2018. We had two big changes that made it very hard for buyers to qualify. All of those things. So we just had like sort of a convergence of factors that were just making it harder and harder for buyers to get in the market. Hey Byron, haven't talked to you in a while. So things are starting to look up. We still have some big challenges though. So I'll dig into the numbers a little bit. January to July year to date, date of this Friday fire is middle of August. The sales in the city of Lethbridge went up by over 2%. The average price went up by over 2%. These glasses aren't helping me. So average price city of Lethbridge went from about $285,000 to almost $293,000. So that's 2.7% increase in average sales price. That's for Lethbridge. That's like a big win. That's a big win. You know, we're barely tracking inflation in past years, you know, if not going in reverse. So that's good. It's a positive sign. And the number of sales is increasing a little bit year over year. So we seem to be slowly crawling out of this trough, if you will. The other thing I like to look at is residential permits that the builders are taking out on single family. That's a signal as to what's happening in the market. So year to date for their July report at the city, 2018 residential permits were 158, and the July report for 2019 year to date was 196, which is a 24% jump in single family permits being pulled. Now, caveat to that is the numbers are low to begin with. So last year was only 158 and we've gone up to 196. But those numbers are relatively low, but they are kind of going in the right direction. A lot of builders in Lethbridge have actually really put the brakes on building in the last year or so. We had so much builder inventory. I still think it's a problem in some price points. So we have to look out for that, especially if you are looking to sell a home in one of those challenging price points. You have to know that you are competing with new home smell, just like new car smell. You're competing with that, and it's very powerful. The other thing that I always discuss with homeowners in our market evaluation analysis when they're looking to list and price their home is what are the sub-markets doing at the different price points throughout Lethbridge. So even within the city of Lethbridge can be very deceiving to look at these broad averages because west, north, and south is different, but then the price points are very different. The supply-demand dynamic is completely different across price points. And you're going to have a completely different approach when you head into the market. And if you're a buyer, you've got a completely different landscape in front of you if you're looking for, say, a $300,000 home versus a $600,000 home. So to note in the city of Lethbridge, and includes all property types, single family, multifamily, probably some lots mixed in there, there's a real cliff at the 400 mark. There's just a cliff. And it's actually been like that, give or take, for as long as I can remember. So what that means is, let's say, for example, between $300,000 and $400,000, there is 4.5 months inventory. So if you lined up all the homeowners currently on the market, all things being equal, it would take about 4.5 months for all of those homes to get cleaned off the market and be purchased. That's a fairly balanced market. Like, I like to see 3.5 to 4.5 months inventory as at the top end. If you're selling your house, I feel that's a positive. That's good. 200 to 300,000, just under 4 months inventory. So these are nice looking numbers for Lethbridge. We don't have the super hot markets like, say, Toronto, where the realtors there just got used to, like, you know, have a month of inventory. Everything's selling like in a couple weeks. So after 400, just to give you an example, if your house is in the 400 to 500 price point, we have a year's worth of inventory. We have almost 16 months worth of inventory in the 600 to 700 price point. Now, that doesn't mean your house will take that long to sell. That means if you're at the back of the line of homeowners, it could take that long to sell if you sell at all. So I'm going to make a shameless pitch here. You need to find a realtor who has an excellent track record of getting offers within the first 30 days. And go back to past Friday Fires and you can listen to my discussion on why getting an offer in the first 30 days is the magic. And I don't care if your house is $200,000 or $700,000. You should be shooting for an offer quickly, if possible, because you will actually make more money. You will save yourself a whole bunch of heartache and stress, and having people tromping through your house, you'll just have a better outcome all the way around. So just really keep that in mind when you're listening to what's happening in the market. It's the market. It's a very generic term. What are they talking about? Are they really talking about Lethbridge, or are they lumping together all of Alberta, Western Canada, the whole country? The feds seem to think that we have a national housing market. So that's what you'll hear on CBC and the national media all of the time. They talk about the Canadian housing market. Well, that actually doesn't exist. There is not a homogeneous housing market in Canada. And I can drive 2.5 hours north of Lethbridge into Calgary, completely different market, because I talk to the realtors there. It's a completely different planet in so many ways. So keep that in mind. And I guess the broader lesson I wanted to mention to you, and I need some coffee, is that the market's important. And I've talked about this in other episodes. You know, we always want to look at what's happening in your market. So what's happening in your part of the city, in your price range, if you're selling. We always want to look at that because we want to know what buyers are seeing when they're shopping. Do they have a lot to pick from? Not very much to pick from, that kind of thing. So that is important in our pricing strategy and our marketing strategy and how we're positioning your home. But it shouldn't always be a deciding factor in terms of, should I list my home at all right now? Because there's a whole bunch more things going on that will affect that decision. Maybe your life is changing, maybe your mobility is changing, maybe your family is growing, or maybe you have kids moving out of the house, maybe your finances are changing. The market, interest rates, all these other things in the macroeconomic market, you have no control over that. And in Lethbridge, things don't swing up and swing down as dramatically anyway as they do in even Calgary, Red Deer, and of course Toronto, Vancouver. So don't get too distracted by the market. The most important thing about the decision to buy or sell is what's going on in your life, and are you ready? You know, is your life pushing you towards something different? That's important. That's what we can talk about in terms of preparing you to move forward. And we also talk about that. Make sure you pull up the Friday Fire episode about the resistance, and you'll never be ready enough, right? I think talking about the market and getting caught up in, you know, what do you think the market's going to do next year, Karri? Like, can you predict? Well, no, I can't. Economists can't even predict interest rates, you know? So don't let that distract you from making the best decision for you and your family. That's today's Friday Fire. Enjoy the rain. We're finally getting some moisture. Good for the farmers for sure. And have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.